Hi, welcome to Mindfulness for Stress. My name is Michael Gibeon, the Mindfulness Mentor. I had the privilege of studying directly with many great masters in meditation and mindfulness, not least among them Jack Kornfield, who studied directly with some of the great masters of Burma, who are known to have revived the tradition of Vipassana, or insight meditation, which is what we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about three foundational tenets of mindfulness practice. The first being Vipassana, or meditation, the second being mindful breath work, and the third being mindful movement. All right, so let's move on to resonant breathing. And this is a really great style of breath that has been shown clinically to improve our heart rate variability score, which is a great physiologic barometer for our overall wellness. And so as your heart rate variability score goes up, you're more resilient, you're more relaxed, you're less anxious, often less depressed, and just more well in general. And so this breath can really help with that. This breath work is going to take a little bit of time to develop to your sweet spot. And so what's been shown clinically to be sort of the ideal place is that you're breathing at a rate of around 5 breaths per minute. And so if you tend to have a pretty rapid rate of respiration, it's going to take time to get there, because otherwise you're going to feel like you're really under breathing, and that can feel uncomfortable. So even though I'm going to steer you towards 5 breaths a minute, I want you to be aware that you might not be able to do that right away, and that's okay. If you're aiming towards that and you're slowing your breath enough, and maybe you get to 10 breaths a minute, that's great, right? I mean, you might be starting at 18 breaths a minute. So any improvement towards that. Do you need to go slower than 5 to get the benefits? You really don't, but if you get to 4 or 3 breaths a minute, that's great too. And so it's really just that simple. I'm going to do it with my eyes closed as well. It doesn't need to be. But think about, in 60 seconds, you're going to try and slow your rate of respiration down. And we're going to try and aim for that target of 5 breaths per minute. So 5 inhales and 5 exhales in 60 seconds, right? Okay, so I'm going to just roughly guide you based on that target time as an example. But of course, if you find, wow, that's really slow, then do your best. Don't follow me along. I'm just going to guide you just as an example so you can see what the breath is like, okay? All right. So again, close your eyes if you're comfortable. And just take a few normal, natural breaths to start, and start to get present. And if you want to borrow from the insight meditation, you can bring your attention to your belly. But for this breath work, we're not really trying to focus on our breath in that same way, but just to get you really here and now. Good. And then we're going to start to slow down the breath. And we're going to start with exhaling all together. Empty your lungs completely. And then let's inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. So again, you might have felt like, wow, that was really slow. That's fine. Go as slow as you can comfortably without feeling like you're out of breath. But what you're going to notice is that you don't really need a point to focus, because just by slowing the breath down, it's giving you something to focus on, and it's relatively easy to stay focused, because I'm really noticing like I'm really having to work at staying with that really slow breath as I go in and as I go out. And again, you're aiming for 5 breaths, inhales and exhales. So 5 inhales, 5 exhales in a minute. And again, you want to do that for a few minutes. I would say if you do that for 2 minutes, you're going to start to notice a difference. You're going to start to notice your physiology shift towards the parasympathetic. So that's the relaxation state, right? And so you might have started in a sympathetic state, which is more the fight, flight, or freeze stress response. And you're going to start to notice that down regulation, start to get calmer, right? Less activity on the brain, things like that, right? And this is what has been shown to work to really improve your heart rate variability score, which is an indicator again of overall wellness. All right, and so on to our third foundation, which is mindful movement. So one obvious choice would be yoga, right? Traditional yoga is mindful moving accompanied by the breath, which is by definition meant to be mindful moving. Of course, nowadays there's fitness-based yoga, which is great, but it isn't necessarily mindful. So if you do that, just try and be really present. There's things like Qigong and Tai Chi, which are incredible practices, and they're very slow movements, like you might see people in the park doing. And because the movement is so slow and deliberate, and you're moving with the breath, that's also being really present with the movement. And then sort of non-traditional things that you can try is, if you like to go for a run, try and just bring mindfulness into it. Maybe don't play tunes once in a while, and see if you can just really focus on your surroundings and your footfall and your breath and the feeling of the air on your skin and the sunlight on your skin, the warmth or the coolness of the day, things like that. You can try a traditional practice of mindful walking, where you're walking really slowly, coordinated with your breath as well, and being really present. And my teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh, used to like to talk about how each step is like you're caressing the earth. So imagine if each time you put your foot down, it's like you're giving the earth a nice hug. So there's a real intentionality to it, which means you're really walking slowly. This is different than walking to get somewhere, right? This is walking for meditation, not for getting somewhere, right? Not for locomotion. Hiking is one of my favorite ways, especially if I'm alone. But sometimes my wife and I will hike, and there's periods where we're not talking. And I'm really just trying to attune to my surroundings, to the feeling and sound of my feet on the dirt path, feeling the wind and the warmth, noticing all of the elements around me. And sometimes you can practice by just thinking about the 5 senses, right? What am I smelling? What am I seeing? What am I hearing? Right? Things like that. So yoga, Qigong, running, you could try swimming. Swimming as well is a great practice in general, and then bringing mindfulness to it sort of amplifies its benefits. So to recap, we've got insight meditation, which is only one of many types of meditations. It's probably my favorite for really developing the muscle of concentration. And I find that it's exceptional at working with our psycho-emotional selves. What you'll find over time is that you get to really know yourself really well, and that's really awesome. The second was the resonant breath, right, where we're aiming for 5 breaths per minute, and work your way towards that, of course, as we talked about. And then the third foundation of some kind of mindful movement. For me, these 3 foundations are really at the heart of all mindfulness practices. There are other many great ones that we'll cover in other videos, of course, but I encourage you to try and implement these 3 into your life. You'll find that they're going to do wonders for your overall well-being, your mental clarity. They're going to improve your presence in your relationships, and spending the energy in the body by going for a nice run while you're mindful is such a great way to sort of get out the extra energy, and feeling physically spent is such a great way to settle in and get really present with yourself. All right. If you haven't already, like and subscribe, of course. Check out our other videos. Thanks for staying till the end. Thank you so much. See you next time.